So with Daniss Jenkins, he was cited from Jake Fisher as part of the Mark Stein Substack articles that are paid for, by the way. So if you don't really pay for the Substack, you probably didn't see this. But this is a quote from Jake Fisher as it relates to Daniss Jenkins. It says, quote, uh, there is growing expectation that the Detroit Pistons will indeed soon convert Daniss Jenkins from a two-way deal to a standard NBA contract. Now, as we're recording this podcast right now, Daniss Jenkins is sitting at 25 games played with the Detroit Pistons. Now he's a two-way, so he's allowed to spend an additional 25 more games until that contract does expire. And the Pistons are looking to make him a standard contract. Now, I think this is the correct move for the Detroit Pistons. I think he has earned the right to no longer be a two-way deal. I think he's earned the right to uh, be a standard contract on this team. He has shown the ability to hit big shots, defend, facilitate, and I think he's earned the opportunity to be a standard contract. Now, what could a deal look like? I'm not entirely sure. I'm sure the Pistons would like to get a multi-year deal done to have him under contract. And what it means for the roster. We had Zarek on about a month ago, and I think his assessment is very sound, and I think I could see the Pistons doing this. Now, when we had all these injuries, when Tobias was out for I think 11 plus games, they decided to pick up Isaac Jones off of waivers from the Sacramento Kings, right? I think what he said, and it still kind of echoes in my mind. He said, what I could see the Pistons doing is converting Daniss into a standard contract, which that's what the reportings are indicating, and converting his two-way spot, speaking of Danniss's two-way spot, to Isaac Jones, because Isaac Jones plays a lot of games with the Motor City Cruise. And I think the Motor City Cruise as a G League organization, they really like what he does offer. Oftentimes, he's actually playing power forward. They kind of run double bigs down in the G League with Tolu Smith and Isaac Jones. So you could see two of your two ways in Tolu Smith and Isaac Jones be down in the Motor City Cruise under head coach Jamel McMillan. And Daniss stays with the Detroit Pistons, getting a standard contract. And I point to this player, and he's not on the Pistons. This is when Trajan was in New Orleans. Jose Alvarado kind of has a similar path to what Daniss Jenkins could have. Now, Jose Alvarado was undrafted. The Pelicans obviously picked him up and eventually did convert him to a standard contract, a cheap contract, by the way. I think that's what Trajan Langdon and this front office could look at doing is once Danniss's two-way does expire, once he's available to sign an NBA standard contract, the Pistons will lock him up for a couple of years and have him as a cheap guard on this team that you have at the end of your bench. Maybe possibly he can get into backup point guard duties as he does get more reps with the starters and more familiar with JB Bickerstaff and the players on this team. But I think it's a good sign that he will be on the Detroit Pistons roster as we do get closer to the playoffs. Again, we're 31 games in. He's got 25 more games until that two-way does expire. But I think all signs are pointing for him to get a standard contract with the team, and he will be on the roster come playoff time if you're the Detroit Pistons. I know a lot of fans were asking, like, what happens come playoff time? Well, that two-way is going to expire before the playoffs start, and it looks like the organization wants to reward Daniss for all of his hard work that he's had this year. The buzzer beaters, stepping up when there were injuries, uh, putting in extra work, uh, during off days, spending a whole season with the G League, being a leader. I think there's a lot that you like about the kid, and you have to reward someone that has worked that hard, scrapped, has never been just given anything. He's earned everything, and I'm happy for him that the Pistons are looking to make him a standard contract and making the active roster. And that's so huge for a guy that went undrafted, played in the G League. Um, and I'm sure his family and his camp are very excited with the opportunity of possibly getting a standard NBA contract, not a two-way anymore.